put your plan together first, explore the strategies you want to implement second, and then put your portfolio together third. Welcome to the Retire on Time Q&A podcast. I'm Michael Decker with David Franson here. This show is all about answering your questions, but not that oversimplified advice you've heard hundreds of times. We want to dive into the details, the nitty-gritty, as they say. That said, remember, this is just a show. It's not financial advice. Enjoy your research. All right. Text your questions to 913-363-1234, and we'll feature them on the show. David, what do we got today?
Hey, Mike, I have a rollover IRA account that was set up 15 years ago that has all mutual funds. Is it worth it to switch everything over to ETFs?
So, at risk of giving oversimplified advice, probably.
Probably worth it to switch.
And here's the reason why. Mutual funds were a great system that would kind of mark the value of the fund at the end of the day, and they were just built for an older time. Okay? Today we have ETFs, exchange-traded funds, right? So you can trade them mid-market. They're lighter. They're easier to manage. And I'd say easier to manage in a generalization there. A fund is still a fund.
Yeah.
But the fee structure within it may be different. So it's not that mutual funds are bad. There are some situations where you may want to work with a mutual fund. You may want to be under that umbrella because the fund manager did it very deliberately in that way. Are you with me so far?
Yeah, I think so.
So it's basically, you don't want to get rid of mutual funds because they're mutual funds.
Just for the sake of that.
But ask your favorite AI, say, here is my fund. What are the fees associated with this fund? And is there an ETF equivalent with less fees?
Okay.
So let's break this down. Let's say you have an S&P 500 or whatever index fund.
Or like a retirement target date 2040 or something like that.
That was a little different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, let's go there next.
Corrected.
Okay, that's a great point. Let's go there next. Okay,
All right.
But you've got some sort of ETF or a mutual fund, S&P 500, very generic, and this fund in particular has like an expense ratio of 0.5.
Okay.
Or there's a 12B1 fee. Look these up. Expense ratio, 12B1 fee.
Okay.
Those are the two big ones. And it's 0.5%. It's seeking to hit the S&P 500, but the fees might eat into it a little bit. Maybe not. But you could get basically the same thing and just have an ETF with Vanguard or Fidelity or whoever, and it's an S&P 500 ETF, but you're getting basically a lot less than that 0.5% expense ratio. Let's say it's like 0.02 or 7 or, So now you're making a slightly better return, and over time that can compound. So that's the first layer of things. Now, before we cast too much judgment on the mutual funds, you need to understand all funds by themselves kind of underperform whatever index they're seeking to do. So they will slightly adjust the fund to try to track it net of fees. Okay?
All right.
So this is kind of a silly example, but let's have fun with it.
All right.
Let's say you've got fund one that has a 1% fee, all things included, and another fund that's got 0.1%. But the fund with the higher fees is able to tweak it in such a way that they're actually tracking the index the exact same dollar for dollar as the fund with 0.1%. In your situation, that's basically the same thing. It's the same net of fee performance. It's just one fund manager happens to do a little slightly better job tracking the index net of fees and making up that 1% difference.
Okay.
So you don't want to assume just because the expense ratio is necessarily higher, it's which one more closely accomplishes the goal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the goal being to get a good return. Right?
Whatever the index idea is.
Okay.
So the S&P 500 index funds, whether it's a mutual fund or an ETF, is supposed to track the index as closely as you can.
So let's say at the end of the day, closing bell, the S&P was up 1.6%. This fund will be maybe have gained 1.3% or.
Well, the 1% is for the year, but I mean, it's just, over a year's time, is it there? Is it not there? So that you don't want to get rid of mutual funds for the sake of just getting rid of mutual funds. You want to compare the net of fee performance to something else.
Okay.
Are they doing a good job? Then maybe you can keep them. Are they not doing a good job? Maybe you want to get rid of them. Generally speaking, that I have observed a major shift of people trying to get rid of mutual funds and going to the ETF for a cost standpoint, because that's just the way people want to go standpoint. There's a huge shift for that anyway. So if they rolled over 15 years ago, it might be time for a rebalance, an assessment of the portfolio. Do they meet your goals? Do these mutual funds match your current lifestyle and legacy goals?
Okay.
Let me give you an example. Let's say you're 35 years old. Okay.
All right.
You've got plenty of time before you retire. You can take on tons of risk if you so choose. Okay. 35 years old. Now you're 50 years old, 15 years later. Retirement might be 5-10 years away. You might not want to take as much risk. You might want to shore up a little bit, maybe not put 50% of assets in bond funds, but maybe a little bit less risk. Just taper it off a little bit, right?
Okay.
So there might be an opportunity to just reassess where the funds are and where they need to go. Again, that might be mutual funds, that might be ETFs, but just make sure the net of fee performance makes sense and the investments are aligned with your plan and what you want to get your money, what you want to get out of your money.
Okay.
And this goes back to put your plan together first, explore the strategies you want to implement second, and then put your portfolio together third.
And so 15 years ago, were ETFs a thing? Were they new then? Because mutual funds have been around since what, like late 70s or even earlier?
Earlier than that. Yeah.
60s?
Mutual funds been around forever.
Okay.
Let's just look this up real quick.
And maybe if you have had mutual funds the last 15 years, they've probably done pretty well, right? The last 15 years, the market has been a pretty good run.
Last 10 to 15 years, I mean, the market, it's like you could not make money is what it felt like. It's been incredible.
Yeah.
But then the 10 years before that, so you go back to 2000 to 2010, it was painful because you didn't make any money.
Right.
I mean,
Flat.
maybe you made a little bit, like
Yeah.
you were just barely getting by because you blend with bond funds. You know, the boring investment. Everyone's like, oh, bond funds. That's kind of what saved you between 2000 and 2012, that flat market. The bond funds propped you up. They stabilized the equities or the stock flat market that we experienced. So yeah, ETFs introduced in the early 90s.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, one of the big first ones was Spider or SPY.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Is that State Street?
I think
Yeah,
so.
that was 1993 State Street. So which is a very popular one. But I mean, with IVV's BlackRock's, VOO's Vanguard, they're kind of all very similar.
They all aim to track the S&P 500.
Yeah.
Okay.
But mutual funds have been around a lot longer. It's just mutual funds, they settle when you sell it, you're selling it based on the price at the end of the day.
Right.
In ETF, you can do it midday.
Yeah.
So there's some components to it that are structured differently. And then you've got all these other funds too. You've got interval funds, which are going to be illiquid, but they can do a little bit more within the fund itself. You've got buffered ETFs. Those are new as of I think 2019 was the passing of the regulations. And then 2020, 2021, they started going to market.
Okay.
And that allows you to put different option contracts within the fund itself just to hedge differently. So, I mean, funds itself are evolving constantly. But yeah, like around 1940s or so, mutual funds became a big shift. 1970s was the big shift to index funds. Thanks, John Bogle. But things have evolved.
Right.
The one thing, though, that I would just bring this all back to is nothing does everything well. There's no such thing as a perfect investment, product, or strategy, right? So as time goes on, there's going to be times where growth funds, mutual fund or ETF, are going to do really, really well. And there's going to be times where they won't do well, but the dividend-paying funds are going to do really, really well. And then you've got other funds today that like are covered call income funds. You've got structured notes. You've got real estate funds. The financial investment options are constantly evolving over time. And so you want to ask yourself, are you in the right thing? Is it the right time for that? And don't get too emotionally attached to it, because you want to adjust your portfolio as things shift overall. You're not trying to time the market. Timing the market is saying that I'm in the market or I'm in cash. That's not what this is. Evolving based on trends or different strategies based on that time of your life.
Yeah. So I think for the answer to this question then is it's like, hey, maybe you should get out of some of your mutual funds if you've had them for the last 15 years. Maybe not.
Yeah.
Don't do it, but don't do it just for the sake of doing it. Like, oh, I need to change. Maybe you don't.
I would say there's a high probability that your mutual funds either are going away or they're just a little bit heavy on fees, just on how they're built.
Okay.
So there's a good chance that, yeah, you can find a similar fund that's in the ETF world, but it doesn't mean you have to. Your mutual funds might be just fine.
All right.
So do you think we missed? Oh, the target date fund conversation.
Oh, that's right. Let's circle back to that.
So the target date fund is kind of an interesting one. It's a set it and forget it, where you just put it in there and they're going to slowly adjust the portfolio or the fund based on the target date you want to retire. So basically each year you're going to get a little bit more, typically bond funds and their bond exposure to the equity side. That's going to help you lower your risk as you approach retirement. But that assumes that you're trying, the only solution, stocks and bond funds.
Oh, right.
There's other things you could do.
Yes.
There's other parts of your portfolio that you may want. Maybe you want real estate exposure. Well, your target date fund's not going to give you real estate exposure. Maybe you want, there's real estate, private equity, private credit. I don't love private credit right now, but that is an option there. You could do equities, you could do CDs, you could do treasuries, you could do, there's so many options that are out there.
Yeah.
To assume that that's just all you need, I think glosses over the benefits and detriments of other investment options. So I personally don't care for target date funds because I don't think it gives the consumer a lot of options for them to figure out the right blend for them. It's kind of like I don't want to think about it, so I'll just go over here.
Right.
And your portfolio should support your plan. Well, the target date fund assumes everyone has the same plan or the same risk tolerance or the same whatever.
Yeah.
So you could do your own version of it if you wanted to and just have some equities and then have some bonds and then you just slowly adjust the blend as years pass.
Yeah. So when you're
Not too hard to
younger
do.
and you can, quote unquote, take a lot more risk, maybe you have more equities and you're accumulating. And then as you get closer to retirement, you want to shift away from major accumulation to just, hey, let's preserve.
Yeah. Well, consider for a moment that in 2019, 2020, interest rates were pretty low.
Yeah.
Fixed income bond funds were very competitive, but all the target date funds had bond fund exposure. Then inflation got out of control. Who would have thought printing lots of money would lead to inflation? Oh,
Yeah.
wait, everyone that understood the basics of finance understood that.
Yeah.
And then bond funds started losing money. Well, what's heavily influenced, or what's a big part of a target date fund? Bond funds. So these target date funds, they're quote unquote less risk. When you bring in the seasonality, the risk of fixed income or bond funds, bonds specifically, and them losing their value. Well, if rates go up, bond funds lose money. So all these target date funds where they're supposed to take on less risk, really we're at high risk of interest rate risk. And so over 2022, 2023, they got destroyed. But they're being managed to the target date of your retirement.
Yeah.
So do you see how it's like without context? Like right now, I think they're kind of fine as a part of your portfolio because it's an easy stock bond fund mix. But if interest rates go back down to a very low rate, I don't know if I'd go there.
Right.
So understand what's in the fund. And the last thing for this person is understand if your funds are kind of all buying the same thing. You could buy 5 funds and they're basically the same thing with the same stocks. You're not really diversifying.
Yeah.
You just bought 5 of the same thing. So what's in them? You could look that up through their exposure or holdings.
Yeah.
So I think we got that one.
I think we did. It's up to them. They have to know. This person needs to know like what their objectives are, how close they are to retirement, what their plan is, and then go from there.
Yeah. Yeah, don't just do an arbitrary rebalance. Put a
Don't
plan
do it-
together first.
yeah.
Leave with them where they are. But put your plan together first, whether you're 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years old. You got to have a plan for the next 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
Whatever that plan is, then explore the strategies. What do you want your money to do for you? Because if it's all risk, it's all growth. It sounds like it's in a qualified account, an IRA. So you can make adjustments without capital gain issues, without dividend income issues, right? Which is taxes, ordinary income, and all that. So you can readjust the portfolio based on what you want to get out of your money. Well, is it cash flow? Do you want income from it? A growth mutual fund is going to be terrible for income if especially markets go down. So just plan, explore the strategies, then rebalance your portfolio as would be fit. There we go.
Yeah.
That's all the time we got for this question. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also go to retireontime.com for our book, workbook, and so much more to help you prepare to retire on time. Thank you. We'll see you in the next show.